Greetings, comic friends. This last weekend, there were a couple of smaller comic show convention-y type things in my area, and I hit up both of them. So I decided to go ahead and give my thoughts on the shows and see what I got from them. Though it honestly wasn't that much. The first one that I went to on Saturday was in a little smaller city town that is about 2 hours away from me. It's a town of about 50,000 people. Apparently this convention, this was the third time it's happened. I'd never heard of it before. I'd never seen it advertised before. The only reason I know about it is a local customer had asked me if I was going to go, and I was like, I don't know what it is. Never heard of it. So their advertising probably could use a little bit of improvement. Because if it wasn't for this one person that I just happened to do work for, I never would have known it existed. And this is the third year. Anyway, I went and it was all right. When I go to shows like that, I mostly go for vendors, and it was all vendors. They had some events that like cosplay contests and trivia contests and things like that, which I'm not really about. But I'd say there were probably only 3 real comic dealers there. There were maybe some that did some random stuff and had some comics on the side, but those that were there for really 4 comics, there were only really 3. One of them was one of the shops that I go to here in town all the time, so there's nothing new there. So for me, there's really only 2 vendors for me to consider getting things from. The rest of the booths were most like local artists, craft dealers, which is fine. This is great. I love seeing that stuff. I just like to see more of a comic book presence of vendors selling comics at a comic show, and it didn't really have that, unfortunately. So there was only one dealer that I got stuff from. The other dealer, I guess I didn't really understand. They had pretty much only had slabs, and I understand slabbing things to sell them. I slabbed a bunch of stuff to sell. I get it, but it has to be the right kind of stuff. Right? There are some dealers out there that seem to think that they have to slab everything and only sell slabs, and some stuff isn't worth slabbing. There are a number of books there that if they had been raw, I would have bought them easy would have bought them. Now I understand that when they slab them, they get to put a higher price on them, and I get that. But there are some things that if you slab them and price them for what they're worth, they're not going to sell, or they're going to take a long time to sell. So, for example, something they had was, I think it was Iron Man, and there were a few that kind of fell in the same sort of realm. I'm just picking one example. Iron Man 54, which is the first appearance of Moondragon. I want it. Just because I want all the first appearances of the Infinity Watch, because I love the Infinity Watch. They had a graded, I don't know, it was like 7.0, 7.5, something like that. And the price that was on it was, yeah, I guess. I mean, if a book is graded, a graded 7.0 is probably going to go for more than a raw 7.0. I mean, that's understandable. So the price that they had it for was, it might have been a little high, but it wasn't outrageous. I think it was something like $200 or something like that. And comparing that to other 7.0s that had sold, I think like 160, 180 around there probably would have been a little bit more reasonable. But the point is, if I'm going to spend, and it's Moondragon, right? Who cares? It's not like a hot name or anything. Who's going to spend $200 on the first appearance of Moondragon? If I'm spending $200 on the first appearance of Moondragon, I want something better than a 7.0, right? But now, because it's been slabbed and it's a 7.0, they're charging $200 for it. Sorry, I'm back. Wendigo is full of sassafras right now. If I'm paying $200 for, I'm not going to put $200 towards a 7.0 first appearance of Moondragon. I would maybe put $200 towards a raw, like, high grade Moondragon, maybe. But I think the kind of person that would spend $200 on a first appearance of Moondragon doesn't want a 7.0. So there it sits. And there were other things. There's like an Avengers 66, which is a cameo of Ultron, and the first appearance of Adamantium, I think is what it is. And it was graded in that same area. Like, I don't need that book graded. Like, it's not that significant of an issue to have to pay that much more for it to be graded. If they had it raw and priced appropriately raw, they would have got money from me. A lot of the stuff they had slabbed, I would have been more than happy to buy raw, and I probably would have dropped quite a bit of money there. But instead, I spent $0. So, but maybe they sell. Maybe they'll sell them. I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. Like, why would you grade this? Why would you grade this? Like, it probably isn't worth grading unless it's a really high grade for those particular books. But it's their money. It's their store. They can do what they want. So anyway, this other person that I went to, they had some decent stuff. Like, they just didn't really happen to have stuff I needed, unfortunately. And the prices on stuff were good. So I did get some stuff from them. And none of it's actually really for me, to be honest. So I picked up this Incredible Hulk number 441. I have it already. This might be in better shape than the one I have. I'll have to check. But this is a really cool cover, this Pulp Fiction homage. And it was really, really cheap. I don't know what the book goes for, honestly. But it's I don't know. Sometimes you see a book and that's a crazy good price. I'll pick it up and see what happens with it. If I don't do anything with it, I was out $3. So whatever. This is kind of the same thing. Batman 423. So this is a pretty popular McFarlane Batman cover. It's not perfect. It seems like it might be kind of faded. The red seems very pink. But I don't know. There's some spine ticks and whatnot. But for the price that was on it, I was like, I can find someone that wants this and be okay, I guess. So I picked this up. And if I don't, I'm happy keeping it for what I paid for it. It was ridiculously cheap. This X-Men 213. There's nothing super significant about this other than it's a really cool Wolverine Sabretooth cover. It's in really good shape. It could use a press. There's some spine ticks on it, but they're not color breaking, so I should be able to press them out. But it's a pretty high grade copy of this. To be honest, I think I got this because I was getting frustrated with not finding anything that I really wanted. Like, yeah, that's a cool cover. It's in really good shape. It's a decent price. I'm getting some other stuff from this person, so maybe I can get it for a better price. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll probably just press it and just file it away. It's a cool cover. Maybe I'll get it graded someday when I grade things again, just because it'd be a cool book to have displayed. Then I got an Incredible Hulk number 449. This is in pretty good shape. Honestly, the only reason that I got this is because I know someone who wants one. And it was a good price. I had one of these for sale fairly recently, and I sold it. And then someone else asked me about it, and it was already sold. Like, I'm sorry, it's already gone. So I'm gonna reach back out to them and say, hey, I have another one. If you still need it. If not, then I don't have a problem. I don't think I'll have a problem getting rid of it. I mean, I didn't get it for super cheap, but I got it for what I think is a good deal. And if I didn't know someone that I'm pretty sure needs it, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. It's just like, oh, this guy wants one, I can probably help him out and get that to him. So there's that. And then these I didn't know these existed. So I got everything he had on them. Some Howard the Duck magazines. So there were 9 of these total. I got 5 of them. Number 1, 2, 6, 8, and 9. 9 is the last one. They looked like fun, and they were pretty cheap. They were like $5 each. Like, come on. They're not in great shape, but I got them to read them. I love Howard the Duck. And I have a full run of Howard the Duck, so I figured I'd add these to it and make it sort of more of a complete run. So there's 4 more of these that I need. I don't imagine they'll be too tough to find, because they're not, like, no one really wants them, and they're cheap, so I'm not too worried about them. But that's all I got from that one comic vendor. There was some of them had a bunch of role play stuff, and I do collect D&D books, going all the way back to AD&D, and they had some stuff that I needed. Some of these handbooks. So I have, and these are fun. I don't know. They all kind of look the same. They all have this like sort of maroon color to them. But it's just, if you play a fighter, here's everything you need to know about a fighter with different options and things like that. So I got the AD&D Fighter, AD&D Ranger, and 2nd edition Psionics. They're just ones I didn't have, so I got to throw them on the D&D shelf. And also, this is 3rd edition Forgotten Realms Magic of Faerun. They're not, like, I'm not super worried about condition when it comes to this stuff. Someone tagged it with their name, Joshua Elliott, at some point. I think some of these other ones have writing, a little bit of writing on there. As long as they're not totally falling apart, I'm not too worried about condition of these. I just kind of like having them. They're fun to flip through, fun to read a little bit. Let's see. And then I got some stuff from some local artists. And one was, well, I guess he is local. But I got this. This wasn't his best. Like, to be, I just thought it was really funny. I loved Care Bears when I was a kid. So to have this brown Care Bear with a poop emoji, drinking coffee, and on his cell phone with that like look of despair, I'm like, I get that. I just thought it was clever. Like, it's not bad art. It's not like outstanding, like blow me away art. I just really like the idea of it. But, and I probably should have gotten more stuff from him, because like he is legit, like some of his like serious art was incredible, like really, really good, and he was selling stuff for a reasonable amount for like what it was. I probably should have gotten more from him, but I didn't. And I suggest checking him out. I'm not sure where he's out of. Farwell, Nebraska. So it's him and his wife, Sean and Rachel Cloran. So I'll just throw that up there. Hopefully we can get it. Can we get that to go? There you go. There's information for him if you want to check him out. On Facebook, maybe Instagram, no, it's Facebook, but there's their information. So check them out. I didn't see much of her artwork. It was mostly his stuff, but it was really, really good. He also had a book that was just published that was really cool. It's their daughter, or their son, who's like toddler, like draws like random stuff on paper, and then he takes that and makes something out of it. It was really cute. But yeah, that was cool. This, I got this as well. I just thought it was that's just a really great Spider-Man. So this is from, his name was Aaron Shirley. And like this came in like this frame, which I thought was great. Like I don't have to frame it. That's pretty cool. But it's just a really good looking Spider-Man. So this comes from a studio, Captain Wells. You can go to captainwells.com. It's actually two people. It's him and a friend of his, Heather Alston. She had some really cool stuff as well. So if you want to check them out, do so. Really, really cool stuff. So, yeah, check them out. And then a little more prolific comic artist was there, Daryl Skelton, but he's like from Omaha, so he hits a lot of those local shows. He was there, and I got this from him because I thought it was really cool. It's not the original. It's kind of weird, but a good idea. It's a print of original comic artwork. But this is from Warlock and the Infinity Watch number 11. It's not the original. I think I was talking to his wife, was there, and evidently Jim Starlin bought all the originals that he had, including this one. But this was really cool because it has all the Infinity Watch on there, aside from the secret sixth member of Infinity Watch, which I won't spoil who that is if you haven't read it. And then he signed it. So I thought that was cool. And this was like $20. So $20 for a print of original artwork and signed. I think that's pretty cool. And just the fact that it has Living Tribunal and Eternity back there. I just thought it was really cool, even though it's not original art. I would, if he had the original art, I probably would have paid what it was going for this, because this is awesome. But alas, he didn't. So the print is good enough. I think they'll be really slick, framed and hung up. So that was all from that show. The D&D books are probably the biggest thing that I got out of that, other than the art. I do like to support local artists, and when I see like clever stuff like this, I pick it up. I have kind of a portfolio of local artist stuff that maybe I'll go over at some point. And then there was a reoccurring show that comes around every quarter. I've talked about them before, and it's typically the same people. It's the one that I did a few months ago, whenever that was. But for the most part, it's the same people, and they don't get a lot of new stuff. So I've kind of tapped them out. I was able to get a couple things. I got TMNT number 13 from Image. It's one of the random issues I need to finish off that run. And then I picked up Magnus Robot Fighter number 12. This is the first modern appearance or Valiant appearance of Turok. You see him there. in the back. It was reasonably priced, so I think I was getting to that point of like I was getting frustrated that there wasn't anything that I actually kind of wanted. I mean, I'm happy to have this. I did want this book, so I mean I didn't like throw money away or anything. But that's all I got from that little show. I think, yeah. I think some of the dealers at some of these shows, like the value of books have been going up for a while, and I think some of these vendors at shows, they're so afraid that their stuff is priced too low that they're overcompensating. Like I mean, I saw some stuff priced where it's like, it's not worth half that. It's not worth half that. And I'm not talking about in my like what I think something should be worth, but the value that it's the price that this thing is currently going for is half of what you're trying to sell it for. Like, ridiculous. And all the best of luck to them. But I mean, you got to price reasonable, else you're going to be sitting on it. And the thing that you have overpriced, if you're sitting on it for too long, and if it's no longer hot anymore, like I mean, you might in the future you might not be able to get, like if you have a $100 book and you're trying to sell it for $200, if you sit on it for too long for $200 and that book becomes not hot anymore, you might not be able to sell it for $50 later on. You know, like. I don't know. But you know, that's I'm not gonna tell them otherwise. It's their choices to make. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of getting frustrated and exhausted with the whole comic collecting scene nowadays. It's just things are not only more expensive, but you're having to do more work for them. I'm having a hard time just finding stuff that I want. That I'm interested in, and when I do find it, I have to pay way more than I think it's worth. So I'm putting in more work to have to pay more, and it's taking its toll. Anyway, that is it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking about how you think about the comic scene, the convention scene, these mini conventions, and how vendors are pricing things or slabbing things that probably don't need to necessarily be slabbed. Just let me know what you think. But like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.